This is in response to Billy's Talking Points memo from Monday, August 3rd, 2015, the problem with liberalism. Now, if we want to start any discussion like that, we just say, hey, everyone has their each side, and Billy is presenting his side of what he thinks liberalism is. And I couldn't disagree more with any of the things that he says. And it really shows, what, not a coward, but, how awful a human being he is in terms of how he presents his point of view. So he indicates that the Democrats have been taken over by the far left, that whoever the Democratic president is going to toe the line. Then he goes right into the Planned Parenthood thing is. And he starts out by bringing out two lies, which he starts out by saying that they're absolutely true, where he says that no question that Planned Parenthood is an abortion factory, and number two, no question that Planned Parenthood sells body parts. Now, the first one, Planned Parenthood does not get any money from the United States federal government for abortion services. That money comes from other sources. In terms of the amount of money that is spent by Planned Parenthood for abortions, it amounts to about 3% of their total annual budget. Now, as a Democrat, as a liberal, I, myself, would prefer that there would be no abortion, that every single person would come to term. That's not the way it is now. That's not the way it's ever been. And this is what's been going on forever. And when it comes to who gets to decide, who tells who can keep their baby and who can't, I think that I would rather prefer that a woman makes that decision herself. And I'd like to just before we get into the economic aspect of it, let's just go into the next part, where Billy says that Planned Parenthood, no question, sells body parts. No, they donate body parts, and they get reimbursed for the traveling expense, the packaging expense, etc., etc. So he starts out by having two complete, utter, false things. Now, the thing that I want to bring up is he's not stupid. He's from Harvard. He went to Harvard. He knows exactly what Planned Parenthood does, how they get their funding, what percentage of it goes into what. He knows that that federal laws say that you cannot sell body parts, and he knows that Republicans did vote for providing for fetal tissue for research like over 20 years ago. He knows all those things. He's not going to bring any of those things up. He only wants to do that to go on against the Democrats. And from my particular point of view, he only wants to hurt women. Now, we say it's misogynistic. I just say he hates women. I think there's a long, deep-seated hatred of women on his part and for other white conservatives, especially those on TV. But he says the Dems don't care. And he spends the rest of half of it running around. Let me just finish with the Planned Parenthood thing. This is a contrived, made-up situation done specifically for political purposes to gin up the base. They're going to do that very effectively. It could end with the shutdown of the government. I think I'll have a complete segment just on the shutdown and why the shutdown and how it's been going on, how it's been leading up to that is going to come about. Billy just finishes by talking about, I don't know how he got into this, about how three cities had a lot of shootings over the last weekend: New York, Chicago, Baltimore, a number of killings, the black on black. And of course, those three mayors are black. Excuse me, the three mayors are not black, they're Democrats. And what I'd like to point out again is that this has nothing to do with black-on-black shooting. This has nothing to do with Democratic mayors. This has everything to do with gun control and the fact that the Republicans have been very, very effective in allowing as many guns onto the city streets as possible, so that Democratic mayors have a very difficult time stopping the flow of gun trade from all kinds of places. Where's the one big one in Georgia? And there's something, I believe, in Indiana that gets to Chicago. I'm not quite sure about that one. But it's basically on the flow of guns to the inner city. That is what the problem is. It has nothing to do with the mayor, has nothing to do with any of the stuff Billy talks about. Again, he's bringing up that just to make the Democrats look bad. He's priming this whole thing up for the government shutdown come September 30th. It's only, August 4th? Wow. And they're going to gin this thing up because the Senate leaves this week on this Planned Parenthood thing. They're going to have to gin it up for the next 6 weeks, but it looks like they're primed to do that. We'll see what happens.